the war in Iran. Let's welcome in retired Army General, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander Wesley Clark. Thank you for joining us this morning, General. Where do you see this conflict heading right now, as the president's deadline is just about 12 hours from now?
I think that what's going to happen is we have to keep up the air campaign right now, and it will be intensified. There are military-related infrastructure targets, including bridges and power plants, that are legitimate and legal targets, and they haven't been struck to this point. And if the Iranians don't come forward, they will be struck. And this is still early days. I want to emphasize that, early days in an air campaign. When I was leading NATO's air campaign in 1999, it took us 11 weeks against Serbia. So we're only in the 5th week here in this campaign. So we've got to maintain patience. We've got to adapt. We've got to go after these missile cities, the emplacements blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and we've got to keep the pressure on.
So, General, reports now suggesting right now that the U.S. has started attacking Karg Island. What do you make of the significance of this information? And do you think this is going to be something that might end up with the Marines on the ground on Karg Island?
It might, but I hope that we won't insist on maintaining a presence there. I think it's fine to raid Karg Island, to disrupt it, to take out some of the infrastructure there, if that's what we want to do. We think that's a bargaining leverage, but we don't want to keep our people in a position where they're targets. So the idea would be, I hope, go in, strike, leave, strike, leave, and disrupt this. And the Iranians will learn that no place there is secure. And when they understand that, then we've got a chance of opening up the strait.
Yeah, and to clarify, too, apparently those attacks took place overnight. They're not going right now.
And they're doing exactly what it sounds like you are suggesting as well. In general, recent comments from President Trump are adding to the already very bright spotlight on NATO and our relationship with our European allies right now in all of this. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO, very. I think that NATO, I think it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear in my mind. You know, they're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things.
Why do you think NATO is so hesitant to help? And what do you make of what's kind of happening right now with our relationship with these other European allies regarding the conflict in Iran?
Well, first of all, let me say that the European allies, most of them are doing things that are very helpful. The Brits, the Germans, the Italians, for example. Spain's been recalcitrant, but the others have been very forthcoming. I think President Trump's statements that they're having an impact, and the whole idea is to have an impact on the popular support. So what we have to do with NATO is go through the NATO planning process. Now that the action's underway and we're planning to obviously do something in the strait if we don't get the results we want out of these talks, we go through NATO, we bring the nations in, we go through the NATO planning process, and they'll be there. They'll be there for us. But I think the decision was made early on not to go to NATO procedurally because of the element of surprise. So that's what got it started this way. But these European nations, they understand full well that their livelihood depends on getting the Strait of Hormuz open.
So, General, before we let you go, I got to ask you about your reaction to the good news over the weekend that U.S. Special Forces rescued the 2 airmen who'd got shot down in their F-15 over enemy territory. The president, during his news conference yesterday, said some of his advisors said this is a risky maneuver and not to do it, and yet the president went ahead and did it anyway. Just your thoughts on the overall mission itself.
So proud of our men and women in uniform who were part of that operation. And I commend the pilots, their courage after they had to punch out. But the Delta Force, the SEALs, the pararescue people from the Air Force, they're fantastic. They were on the ball, and the leadership coordination at the top, all the way up to making that recommendation to the president. It was the right thing to do, and we did it. I'm sorry we lost the 2 HC-130s and the 4 little birds that were there, but those things happen in operations. And, you know, we've stayed true to our pledge. We leave no one behind. And we're going to get those pilots out, and we're counting on them. They're wonderful Americans, and I'm just so proud of what our armed forces were able to do there.
Such